Truth Seekers is a viewer-supported show. Wonderful people like you who enjoy this show send pledges in the form of super chats, super stickers, super thanks, PayPal or Cash App. Instructions for how to help are in the description. You can also join our Patreon, and for as little as $1 a month you can get extra content. Patreon supporters get a backstage pass, early access to all our production videos before they are distributed publicly, Stephen Campion's music, private writings, a monthly show journal, and more. You can also become a YouTube channel member for $5 a month. A YouTube membership includes all of the Patreon benefits, plus a special members badge, priority reply to video comments, and the live chat, plus a monthly members-only video. We thank you all, kind and generous benefactors, for supporting Truth Seekers. Thank you for your generosity and support. Truth Seekers is a viewer-supported show. Now there's a great way to support these broadcasts and show your support. Please be sure and check out our merchandise store. Links to our 2 merchandise online stores are in the links to this video or podcast. The Amazon storefront ships super quickly in the United States, Great Britain, and in many more places. Amazon may not ship to your country or location. If that's the case, hit our second merchandise link in the description and visit our Redbubble storefront. Merchandise from our Redbubble storefront ships worldwide, but may take longer than Amazon. We've got a great deal of super high quality merchandise for you to choose from, including t-shirts, phone cases, sweatshirts, and even pillows. The feedback from our products have been overwhelmingly great. Quality products and fast shipping. People all over the world are buying some merchandise and showing their support of the show. Praise the cash! Praise the cash! Praise the cash! We thank you all, kind and generous benefactors who are buying some merchandise and helping us to continue this journey. Thanks for being here. This is Truth Seekers with your host, Stephen Campion. Please rate, like and comment on our videos or podcasts. If you are listening to an audio podcast, please rate us 5 stars to help us rise in the search rankings. If you are watching on YouTube, please like, comment and subscribe to our channel. If you're listening to an audio podcast, we love and appreciate you listeners, but you are missing the live tapings. All our shows are recorded live with video feed. We'd love you to come be a part of our live broadcasts and tapings for the podcast. Head on over to YouTube, click the search tool, the little magnifying glass, put Truth Seekers, one word in the search bar, and hit enter. You'll see a strange and mysterious guy with sunglasses. That means you found the channel. Go there, smash the subscribe button and hit the notification bell to receive up-to-date info on our YouTube channel. We welcome you to be a part of our live taping and our chat room during the live broadcasts. Seek the truth. Speak the truth. This is Truth Seekers. Truth Seekers. Truth Seekers.
Greetings and salutations, old friends and hopefully some new friends. Welcome back. Tonight on our show, we're going to be exploring kind of a really fringe topic, and that is stargates. Fact or fiction? I, of course, have my own opinion, but lately a few people have been asking me to cover, uh, especially a very popular conspiracy theory. And that conspiracy theory pretty much states that the Iraq War was not over oil or weapons of mass destruction. It was the United States government wanting to get control of ancient stargates that happened to be in Iraq, of all places, which, uh, for those people who know history, Sumeria is in the region of Iraq. And ancient Sumerian is the oldest known civilization. So that belief sort of that there are ancient stargates built by the Sumerians or the Anunnaki, and the ruins of which, or working ones, are actually in Iraq, of all places. I have my own opinion of stargates, having first, I suppose, been exposed to the idea of stargates the same way everyone else was, from the, I believe it was 1994 movie titled Stargate. I gotta say, I did like that movie. Didn't like the television shows. Those got real hokey really fast. They were sort of like, I don't even call them B science fiction. It was really low budget, and yeah, not a fan of the television show. None of them. There have been SG-1 and another one. I just could never get past seeing MacGyver as a space hero. I couldn't do it. Couldn't sign up for it. So recently, one of our viewers has been sending me material, convinced that there's stargates in Iraq. And they sent me a lot of, I gotta say, like, compelling and interesting information. But some of the sources are very vague, and the proof of any of the claims that are being made and the materials I'm being sent are pretty sparse, but yet still interesting if you are interested in things like, I don't know, aliens, space travel, ancient history. These things have a way of weaving these different things together in a pleasing narrative that people like to believe. But we here try at least to get to the truth of these things. Is there actual evidence that there is stargates either working or in a state of decay and disrepair, ancient stargates in Iraq or anywhere else? I have heard claims that there are stargates in Antarctica, in Florida, off the coast of Florida, because that is supposedly one of the famed locations of Atlantis. I've heard about a stargate in Russia, and of course, Egypt, the pyramids. There's got to be stargates there, right? Ancient Turkey, and most notably, though, I hear they are in Iraq, or the site of ancient Sumeria. This is an interesting subject to me, because there's a lot of things to digest about these things. I thought we would start. I found well, I didn't find it. One of our viewers found an excellent source about these supposed stargates in Iraq, and it's from a YouTube channel called Mysterious Middle East. And I gotta say, I highly recommend that channel. I checked out more than just the video we're going to be sharing and discussing tonight, and they have some interesting, all kinds of mysteries about the Middle East. And isn't the Middle East like, like Asia, just a mysterious and strange place to an outsider looking in, with strange customs and strange historical happenings and strange philosophies, maybe to a Western mind? Yeah, so I would highly recommend this person's channel. We're going to cite fair use, and we're going to be discussing, and I suppose we're going to be discussing and critiquing the contents of this video, and just discussing the evidence that this video presents, And we're using this video as an educational tool, and therefore this is definitely covered under fair use. We're educating the public about stargates in Iraq, and this video is about stargates in Iraq. So this is fair use. Let's get into it, friends. Okay, and this video is called The History of Iraq's Stargates and the Creator of All Demons, and it's attributed to the YouTube channel Mysterious Middle East. Again, fair use. We're going to be stopping this every so often to comment and using it to educate the public. This is fair use. Okay, friends, I got this queued up. Let's get into it. I found this whole video very interesting, but I clipped off the first minute or so. I don't know if we're going to play through the whole thing, but maybe at least half of this. It's a 12-minute video. Some of the information presented here, I got to say, it's like music to my ears. It sounds great, but I'm not so sure about the evidentiary support of the claims being made in the video. But they do. This video was very fair because he mentioned critical parts. The critics and skeptics have a reason to be skeptical due to some of the use of language, like using the term Stargate, which basically originated in science fiction. But I think it's a very fair video. Let's get into it, friends.
The creator of monsters. Who or what is the evil fictional deity known as Tiamat? Historians and archaeologists agree that she not only played an important role in the creation myth of ancient Mesopotamia, but she is also central to it.
It's interesting to note that I grew up Christian or Catholic, and to Christians or Catholic, Tiamat is a false god or a demoness, a female demon, depending on which priest you ask. Growing up, basically the old gods of older religions than Christianity became the demons or the devils, but we see this happen in history over and over again. Generally, the old gods become the bad guys of the new gods, which whatever is reigning at the moment.
Writing for ancient origins, the archaeologist Wu Mingren states that she was the Mesopotamians' personification of the primordial sea, from which the first generation of gods were born. Although obviously not a real god, what she represented to the ancient Iraqis goes way beyond the creation of gods, but also the creation of monsters, and by that we mean all of them.
Yeah, so she is typically the creator of demons and monsters, besides being the creator of the first gods. And there is some tie-in with the Anunnaki, with this entity, and there's some tie-in with some other traditions in biblical text in which the fallen angels interbred with men and created a race of giants. It's very similar stories, which always makes me think that these are just retellings of the same legends.
With Islam and Christianity, there are arguments that states that the source of all dangerous paranormal phenomena is either demonic or from the jinn, an invisible race of mortal yet powerful human-like creatures. However, the ancient Sumerians had a very different concept. According to Enuma Elish, the Babylonian creation myth, before Tiamat died, she had brought forth or given birth to monsters, demons, and various other creatures of Mesopotamian pantheon, including the first dragons.
Yeah, so this is, of course, legend, right? Or is there some truth? Sometimes I think there is some truth behind most legends. There's at least a seed or nugget of truth behind some legends or myths. And there's also some tie-ins with chimeras. The Ancient Alien Show, all those people theorize, or ancient alien theorists theorize, that the chimera was DNA experiments, like splicing genes to create hybrid creatures and so on. And this entity is tied into that in some storytellers' stories.
Whose bodies she filled with poison instead of blood, Could this be the reason so many anomalous events taking place in and around the northern part of the Gulf? From the harmless and benign to the terrifying and probably life-threatening, the rare but occasional news reports from local media that speaks of these paranormal instances are intriguing.
Yeah, and the jinn are another interesting part to this because that's basically, in Islamic tradition, something like a demon, but not quite a demon.
A seemingly magical tree in the middle of the holy desert refuses to die, to mysterious fires and strange human-animal hybrids haunting the residents of Kuwait, to even the sightings of giants in neighboring South Asia's Afghanistan.
Yes, and that's a whole other story that we could get into. People that were in the Afghanistan war claimed that there were giants. And there's more than one report of that. Just another strange side note to this mysterious Middle East.
So what could be the cause of them all in Iraq? An actual Einstein-Rosen bridge, or in other words, a Stargate. In her 2006 article, Stargate, the Sumerian Threat, Elizabeth Begg states that the Enuma Elish creation myth was allegorical. Like other theorists, both mainstream and fringe, the consensus is that the Sumerian gods and their tales are mostly written in a metaphorical format, where they are either entirely fictional or based on real historical events, places, and individuals, but expressed in a highly stylized prose.
Yeah, it's like I've been saying this repeating narrative. I'm not probably not the only one that thinks that there may be some nugget of truth to these ancient traditions, these ancient stories, these ancient legends and myths.
Within the Enuma Elish, where Tiamat gave birth to gods and monsters, Veg states that the process of her giving birth could be a euphemism for the term arrival. Thus, those gods and monsters arrived from somewhere else, somewhere far above, and where and maybe still are, being deposited here on Earth. As above, so below. So, in other words, Tiamat herself was never a real person or entity, but instead a transportation device, like a Stargate.
Yeah, and so here is the tie-in that this ancient Mesopotamian goddess, um, was not a god or a goddess, but a reference to a physical machine or transportation device in the form of a stargate. And that is what gave birth to these monsters. Uh, I suppose if there really was a such thing as a stargate to other worlds might have some scary creatures on them that may come through these stargates. So I guess there's a dangerous thing to play with a stargate. You don't know what's going to come through from the other side unless I guess you got the secret decoder ring, like they figured out in the movie Stargate. Yeah.
Just one of many. According to author and journalist Richard Levitin, there are a total of 49 incomplete stargates in the Tigris-Euphrates River Valley. Although his sources of this information are extremely vague and highly questionable, his research does coincide with the theories of Elizabeth Veg. Veg, there is at least one important stargate within the Euphrates under the ruins and remains of the Mesopotamian city of Eridu.
Yeah, and I just wanted to stop it here to say it's easy to say that according to an independent journalist, there's, what did he say, 49 stargates. Uh, I'd like to see the evidence, though, if you're going to state that as if it's fact. And, the source that you cite kind of matters. But at least this guy is honest and he admitted that the sources were vague and, but then he goes and doubles back and says, but his research coincides with another researcher with no proof. So we've got two researchers with scant evidence telling us virtually the same story or similar stories about these stargates in Iraq. I'm left unconvinced so far.
More, Levitin writes in his book Stars on the Earth that the Euphrates served as a construction hub, and that area is like an assembly shop. He states was that Stargate's parts were brought there and assembled prior to being relocated to other parts of the planet.
Well, that's an interesting theory. Okay, so there was some sort of Stargate manufacturing facility where I suppose was it aliens brought the parts? He didn't really specify who gave us the Stargate parts, but that's an interesting theory. But again, is there evidence of this? Is there physical evidence of this? Scientific evidence? Archaeological evidence of this? Technological evidence of this?
In an earlier episode, we theorized that location is Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, while others talk about stargates existing in places as far-flung and diverse as India and the Gobi Desert to Egypt and parts of Latin America.
Yeah, I'm sure that all the pyramid sites have been mentioned as possible places with Stargates. And here we're going to see a quick clip from the movie Stargate, which I remember so well as being a pretty good movie. And I guess it's sort of tied in all of this ancient aliens and aliens in ancient Egypt. So like a lot of good science fiction, they mix in some historical significance to make it even more appealing and more believable, I suppose.
Of course, critics and skeptics can rightly point out that the existence of stargates in Iraq or anywhere else in the world is just the application of science fiction and not science fact, overlaid on real ancient Iraqi history. Therefore, it is our opinion that the use of sci-fi terms as part of an argument for the existence of real-life objects that goes beyond scientific understanding is self-defeating.
Yeah, and I would agree with them. And further, these authors that he's citing as sources, their story is after the movie Stargate came out, which I find a little bit convenient. They didn't know about the Stargates in Iraq before the movie, the Hollywood movie Stargate popularized Stargates. Okay.
Skeptics like Jason Colavito make compelling arguments that question the integrity of the existence of such machines because of his kind of language. He notes that the term Stargate has been used occasionally throughout fantasy fiction, even before the movie.
Occasionally, it's really been used almost exclusively throughout fantasy fiction. My observation or my interpretation, I could be wrong. I don't see the term Stargate used in serious scientific papers very much. I'm sure they have been used occasionally. That term has been used occasionally when people are talking about things like the Einstein-Rosen bridge and singularities in space and other terms.
The 1994 Roland Emmerich movie of the same name made it popular. Arthur C. Clarke used it to
Oh, there we
describe
go, Arthur
scenes
C.
from
Clarke.
2001, A Space Odyssey in 1968. Andre Norton's 1958 novel Stargate includes a similar portal and may have well been inspired by H.P. Lovecraft's idea that high-end mathematics and non-Euclidean physics could give access to hyperspace in the novel The Dreams in the Witch House.
Yeah, and I remember having a really big phase of H.P. Lovecraft, and H.P. Lovecraft definitely mentioned some form of gates that could be used to open portals to other worlds, portals to other dimensions, and this is where a lot of the trouble starts in some H.P. Lovecraft novels. Somebody will open a gate or a portal, and then the monsters come through, basically.
Yet, because this kind of technology is ever present in modern entertainment, that does not mean it does not exist. While the theories put out by theorist researchers, such as Veg and Levitin, is highly speculative at best, there is no smoke without fire. As we have shown in previous episodes, it seems very likely that our ancient ancestors were more technologically advanced than mainstream science makes them out to be.
Yeah, and we hear this argument time and time again that there was maybe another age of technology, and then, the flood happened or some major global catastrophe happened, and that knowledge was lost to humanity. It's a compelling argument. And if you look for that evidence of that, you just may find it. But I find that most people sort of already made up their mind, and then they just go looking for evidence that will support their arguments rather than the other way around. But at least this gentleman is being honest about the scant evidence, and presenting part of the skeptic side, which is admirable. Most of the woo salesmen that are going to sell you stories of stargates are not going to do that and acknowledge the problems with these, I would call these theories, more than anything.
Be that with or without interest. Caution that stargates are real attention on the world's most device.
Hold on, friends. Let me get through the commercial. Okay. Well, friends, let's share this again. I'm again going to cite fair use. We're educating the public. This is fair use. We're stopping this video every so often to critique and discuss. This is fair use. We're educating the public about Iraq's Stargate and citing fair use while using this video in our presentation. So fair use. There we go.
Like the 49 other devices allegedly scattered across the country, this one is rumored to be nearly fully functional and operational.
So they've got, apparently the story is that there's 50 of these Stargates in various levels of disrepair, but there is one that is functional.
The Green Zone was a heavily guarded diplomatic government area of closed-off streets in central Baghdad, where U.S. occupation authorities used to live and work. Shortly after the U.S.-led incursion to Iraq began in the early 2000s, a paper written by political scientist Dr. Michael Salla.
Now we get to see the origins of some of these stories. And it is none other than Michael Salla, who is about as trustworthy as the National Enquirer or the World Weekly News or any other rag selling bullshit newspaper. This man is by no means a researcher. He is they call him a doctor, but I think that his doctorate is in something stupid like nutrition somehow. He certainly is not, to me, a learned or educated man, because there's no story about aliens or UFOs that he won't sell, no matter how scant and, non-existent the evidence for it is. After all, he's a big supporter of one Corey Goode, the secret astronaut who has spaceships landing in his backyard and taking him to a moon base. So some of these stories about Iraq Stargates come from this dumbass. That turns me off immediately to this whole theory now. If you see that this guy's involved in trying to sell this, huckster this shit.
Was published on expopolitics.org.
Yeah, that's his own website. So he publishes a blog on his own website. It's not like the guy's like writing for the New York Times and has any credibility.
Dr. Salla proposed a theory that the whole region comprising of Iraq, Iran, and Afghanistan is a vast energy port that was strategic as the home base for extraterrestrials known as the Anunnaki during the Sumerian era. Okay,
so he proposed the theory. Is there proof of that theory, or is he just speculating wildly?
We have covered the Anunnaki significantly in previous episodes.
So he didn't present any evidence from Michael Salla to support those claims that he's making. So I'm going to go out on a limb here. I haven't read the article. We can, but I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that Michael Salla has zero proof of any of this shit. Zero proof, zero evidence, zero scientific evidence, zero archaeological evidence. He just has no evidence. So he's just making shit up, basically. Probably after watching too many episodes of Stargate SG-1, right? Why do so many of these UFO con artists, grifters, secret space astronaut assholes all steal from science fiction movies?
Links to those episodes can be found in the description box below. Like many archaeological discoveries in this corner of the Middle East, the Stargate was rumored to be a relic from the ancient Sumerian civilization circa 1500 BC. The gate was allegedly discovered in 1923 within the ancient structure known as Ziggurat of Ur.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so we know where that building is. Can somebody go and take pictures of the Stargate? Can somebody go and turn it on and show us some aliens? You know, part of the problem that I have with some of these people is that they state things like a fact. Well, he did say rumored to have been. You know, some of these guys are very careful with language, like this gentleman, rumored to have been, allegedly the site of. Okay, but I'd like to see some evidence of this. If you know where it is, go take some pictures. Make a video of the Stargate getting cranked on, and you know, make a video of you popping through the Stargate to an alien world or another dimension, and upload that in your video. But we never get that. We just never get that.
Located southeast of Baghdad by Sir Charles Leonard Woolley, a British archaeologist. What happened in the years following Woolley's discovery is vague, as the alleged artifact was kept hidden from public record. But it is believed that over the past 80 years, Western foreign policy and intervention in the region, from World War II to present day, were driven by a goal to obtain this technology.
Yeah, and so that is the theory, that there's the Stargate in Iraq, and all these people are trying to war and invade Iraq to get the Stargate technology. And I gotta say, if the United States knew there was Stargate technology, and what was it, like, what was the oldest date he mentioned here, like 1930 something, we would have went in and taken it. We wouldn't have waited till the Gulf War. But that's just my opinion and speculation.
How successful that goal was will be discussed in a forthcoming feature-length episode, where we will perform a hypothetical deep dive into ancient Iraqi history and attempt to piece together a modern mystery that involves Iran, Egypt, Russia, and the United States, and how these nations are applying real-world quantum mechanics in a manner that is not only influencing the present and the future of the Middle East, but also changing its past.
Yeah, okay. So Russia, Iran, and the United States are experimenting with quantum technology to change the past. This is another huge claim with scant or no evidence, but okay.
Thanks for watching. If you haven't already subscribed, please do. And consider
Okay, friends, so that's good. We're going to pop out of that. I want to thank this gentleman, though, from the history, from the Mysterious Middle East channel, because this is I thought this was a well put together, excellent explanation of the whole story of there being Stargates in Iraq. There's one other source which I would like to share, and this is a Vice article, actually. Let's see. This is a Vice article, boy, I hate when there's a French name. Lemoureux, I think. Lamoureux. I'm apologizing to this person if I'm mispronouncing that. But we're going to cite fair use and share this article, which talks about this Iraq. It's entitled, "There Are People Who Think We Invaded Iraq Over a Stargate." Kind of ridiculous, but okay. And it made it to a Vice article. And Vice does cover a lot of conspiracies, usually from a little more skeptical viewpoint, though. Okay, so there have been many tales told over why America and its gang of bros invaded Iraq. Weapons of mass destruction, oil to show the world how big and righteous their dick is. Forget all that. The reason is Stargates. Yup, Stargates. Seriously, this theory is actually impressively popular and has inspired numerous articles and shitty YouTube video after shitty YouTube video, garnering hundreds and thousands of views. Hell, it even once got the History Channel treatment, and that's because it was on ancient aliens. For those of you not in the know, according to Hollywood, stargates are ancient alien devices that can allow any user to teleport instantaneously to another gate, no matter the distance, which, when you think of it, is super duper cool. And for you guys tapping away in Facebook comments asking, why are you writing about this? Well, firstly, I consider myself a bit of an historian of weird internet thingies. And secondly, I'm here to serve the people. Anywho, since we know that America's new glorious head of state loves himself a good conspiracy theory, e.g., global warming, Chinese hoax, and InfoWars is news, it's worth taking a peek at some of the more prominent alternative facts floating around the old interweb. Okay, so we're going to skip around a little bit. Okay, so to begin, we're going to need to go way back in time and talk about the Sumerians who lived in ancient Mesopotamia, an area that covers a portion of modern-day Iraq. The Sumerians were one of the first civilizations in existence around 3000 BC. Actually, I think it's earlier than that, but okay. And for a time, worshipped the Anunnaki, their deities. But what if they weren't gods? What if they were aliens? Cue dramatic music and the meme of the stone dude with the weird hair. Oh, Georgie, look at that guy's hair. And the famous meme, of course, I'm not saying it was aliens, but it was aliens. Remember that guy? He was like all the rage just a few years ago. So without getting too deep in the marsh, I don't want the true believers to get mad at me. The theory, which comes from writers like Zacharias Sitchin, posits the Anunnaki were not gods, but extraterrestrials that came and bestowed technology upon the Sumerians. This tech is what made their society so advanced at the time. Okay, so following along so far, here's where it starts to get crazy. Essentially, the Iraq War Stargate theory pushes and narrows this idea a little further, saying one of the technologies that were gifted upon the Sumerians were stargates, and their positioning was one of the major reasons for the years of strife in the Middle East. I reached out to Dr. Michael Sala, who wrote an in-depth article about the theory way back in 2003, to learn about it further. Okay, before we get to, it's kind of like an instantaneous space-time means of travel where people are instantaneously teleported from one area to another, said Sala. Yep, super cool. So the Stargate is apparently found near Nasirah, Nasiriyah, a city about 370 kilometers southeast of Baghdad in the ancient city of Ur. Within that city is the Great Ziggurat, a massive temple which had a, you guessed it, Stargate. Some theories also argue that there's a Stargate directly in the city of Baghdad, in one of the basements of Hussein's palaces. So Saddam Hussein had a Stargate in his basement of his palace, where he probably did some pretty freaky stuff with it. While the location and number of the Stargates are in dispute, one thing all theorists do agree on is that the Iraq War isn't the first time that a foreign power showed interest in what sounds like a super sweet Indiana Jones fanfic. The Nazis were fighting the British World War II over control of the Stargate. Fast forward several decades to some theorists of the 80s, Saddam started doing restoration to the temple, worrying the world. Oddly, theories don't really mention the first Iraq War, but after years of work, Hussein was either able to get the Stargate working or learn something important from it, and Big Daddy America got concerned. The Bush administration recognized that Hussein had some very, very valuable, relevant information concerning the ancient history of the planet, said Sala. Either technology or text basically confirming, and he was going to release it to the general public. I think that was part of the reason why the Bush administration went into Iraq, to stop Hussein from revealing this information and also to get control of it themselves. Sala went on to tell me, well, he wasn't the first person to write about the theory. He was the first to write in 2003 an in-depth article regarding it. Since that time, he said, numerous people have worked to further the idea, and many whistleblowers have come forward that have corroborated the theory. Where are their names, addresses, phone numbers? Come on, Michael Sala, you asshole. There's no whistleblowers. You made this shit up. That's my theory. That's my speculation, and I'm free to make it based on the fact that you're fucking stupid enough to believe Corey Good is also a whistleblower. You dumbass. Oh man, the bullshit is so thick in this. You need waiters, friends, to get. I need waiters to get through this. Essentially, more and more people are coming forward saying that they have been involved in these classified programs where these technologies are used quite regularly and they're found all over the planet. Iraq is just one place they're found, said Saleh. So the major originator of this whole conspiracy theory is Michael Saleh, a dumbass. Okay. They are also located in places like Iran and Syria, which is why there is a push for Americans to go into Iran and intervene in the Syrian civil war. All this is very significant in what drives international conflict. Yeah. What's driving international conflict, according to Michael Saleh, is stargates, not anything else, not, politics, religion, resources, oil. No, it's not any of those things. It's over stargates. As for why the everyday person doesn't know about this, well, the government is super good at keeping mum, don't you know? According to Saleh, anyone looking into it is either discredited by character assassination or just straight up told to keep quiet. Any congressman who wants to investigate this topic, if they take the steps to actually investigate it, they are quietly approached and given the old carrot and stick treatment. And most congressmen accept the carrot and are basically promoted. Okay, can I talk to some of those congressmen or senators that you say that he's making all these statements as if they're facts. And he doesn't have any facts. He doesn't have any evidence of any of this shit that he's talking about. Because Michael Saleh is a dumbass that just makes shit up. There is hope. The websites covering these theories are just a click away from InfoWars, and it's not too hard to imagine President Trump having one of his sleek and smooth underlings read it out to him for switching on ancient aliens. Like, imagine him sitting there in his gold throne, leaning forward like a hungry baby bird with ancient aliens reflecting in his eye, nodding gravely along. It's easy to see, right? So maybe Trump's recent comments about how the U.S. should have stolen Iraq's oil and his statement of maybe we'll have another chance are actually about that sweet, sweet teleportation tech. Maybe President Trump will finally be the American leader to curl his tiny, tiny fingers around the Stargate and know the true powers of the universe. Yeah, so having heard, friends, as soon as I heard that Michael Saleh was a major proponent of this story, it led me down a very easy path to get to, because nothing that Michael Saleh ever talks about is accurate or true or factual. He strings together different bullshit stories into some kind of, he thinks, a cohesive narrative, but everything on every post this guy has ever written, and people send me posts from him constantly. If people know that you're into aliens or secret space programs or whatever, UFOs, this guy writes a lot of crap. So people will send me shit that he writes, and I look at it and go, how fucking stupid is anybody to believe any of this stuff? Now, I have to say, in fairness, that Michael Saleh is not the only person that's pushing this theory or conspiracy story. There are others, including at least a few people that are into mysteries of the Middle East, and a few authors that are writing about this in books. But again, I think that the evidence for any of this is very scant. I would like somebody to show me more evidence of any of these theories being factually correct or having some scientific basis, archaeological evidence basis. And no one so far, friends, has been able to give me that. So we titled the show Stargates, Fact or Fiction. I guess we should have titled it Iraqi Stargates, Fact or Fiction. And so far, I'm going to say fiction, just like the science fiction movie and television show Stargate. It came from fiction, and until these people that are pushing these stories provide some evidence, to me, these are going to remain a form of fiction. Now, I got to say, I would love to live in a world where I could hop through a Stargate and go to visit an alien planet or another dimension. That would be a much cooler world than we actually live in. But so far, nobody's given me a ticket, a golden ticket to go through a Stargate. And I doubt anyone ever will, you know? Uh, and that's where I'm at with this one. A viewer really wanted me to cover this and see what I thought about it. So this one's for her, and she knows who she is. I I did my best, but I just can't. I cannot believe in this conspiracy theory based on the amount of the total, complete, and total lack of any factual or scientific or archaeological evidence. We're going to have to call this one fiction. And with that, friends, I will turn my complete and total attention now to the live chat. Okay. Some shout outs. Robin Eaglesong is here. Robin Eaglesong, I forgot to get back to you about being on your show, and I sincerely apologize. I will do that as soon as we're off air here. Shout out to Lee Veltman. Shout out to Charles Unleashed. Shout out to Solar Marshall. Shout out to Out of Mind is here. Shout out to Carol Utley. I think I said Lee Veltman. Let's see who else is here. Jonaside. Shout out to Jonaside. So talk to me, friends. What do you think of this Stargate? Andrew Shepard Smith is here. Says, hi, everyone. Solar Marshall asked Steve, would you like to hear John Lear tell Kara Cassidy to shut her mouth? Absolutely. Send me a link. I want to hear that. Oh, Kel Truth. Kel Truth is here. Shout out to Kel Truth. Can never get here on time. I know. You really need a watch or something. You know what it is? You're a woman. You've got to be fashionably late. So everybody, is already here and notices your grand arrival, I think. Sorry, Marshall says it's so funny. Yeah, I think John Lear can be a crackety old man sometimes, right? He's like a pissed off old man sometimes. Okay, so if anybody has any questions or comments for me in the live chat, please do put them in all caps. And I always forget to do this spinning animation thing. There we go. So I had a little time today to work on the lights and the lighting. And yes, friends, I have been striking out trying to broadcast from the cabin. I'm not sure what that's about. I don't know if it's a bandwidth issue. I don't know if it's a StreamYard issue. I don't know if I thought it was a lighting issue, but the last time I made sure that it was bright as shit in there and it still looked like garbage when it went out. Not sure what the issue is. I'm working on fixing that. And I guess here's the deal. I'm trying to avoid, I have this very good Logitech that we use on the show here in the office studio here at home. And that's always generally looks good as long as I don't make it too dark in here. But then I don't want to break all of that down. Like everything is perfectly set, So if I go to the cabin, I got to take the webcam off the stands and fold up the stands and then go there and set it up. And then I got to bring it back here. And so I'm trying to avoid that. And so I was using another webcam, which here looks fine, but at the cabin looks terrible. So I'm going to go back to trudging this webcam back and forth, at least or until I can get another one. But that one's, I don't know, fairly expensive. I think it's $120. So I'll save my PayPal pennies and my Patreon pennies. By the way, you can support our show either through Patreon for $1 a month. As soon as I get off of the show tonight, I'm going to be working on this month's audio journal and the final Mind Hack demo. The final Mind Hack demo part 2. I thought we were done, and then I found more notes, so we're going to do another. Episode, really. I like mysterious Middle East. The Arab mythology is interesting. Yeah, I love Arab mythology, and I once tried to read the Quran, and I only got about a quarter of the way through. There's something about spiritual text that really can't keep my interest long enough. I've tried to read the Bhagavad Gita and the Quran and failed miserably, and I've tried both of those probably 3, 4 times each. Can't get through either of them. But a Muslim friend sent me links to sections of the Quran that is most of the stuff about the jinn and supernatural things and demons and things like that. And I find that fascinating. Yeah, and Out of Mind is sharing their channel. That guy's got a great channel going, tons of subscribers. I think he does a really good job from what I've seen. I've watched a few of the videos on there now, and I like ancient mysteries and stuff like that. So for me, it's a good resource, good channel to find. At least that crazy glitch I had for like 4 shows is gone. I seriously almost had a seizure several times trying to watch them. Yeah, I think that's a West Coast issue, though, because I don't know, it seemed to me that people that are having trouble with the stream are geographically very far from me. And Keltruth, you're all the way on the West Coast and I'm all the way on the East Coast. That may have something to do with it. I'm not sure. You should read the Eddas. Or is that Eddas? Hey, Rodrigo is here. When do you think humans first started writing sci-fi and fantasy? Well, gee, I don't know. It's got to probably go back a few hundred years, right? Science fiction. I mean, if you think about it, Frankenstein's really old, and that's science fiction. They're creating a, hybrid human out of body parts and animating it. I'm not sure how far it goes back. An interesting question. I'd have to look and see what other people think is the first or few first science fiction fantasy stories or novels. Certainly Frankenstein comes to mind. H.G. Wells' The Time Machine. Yeah, H.G. Wells was way, way ahead of his time, right? Carol Utley says, I'm in the Midwest. 1809, The Man in the Moon. That's another Charles Unleashed. Very good example. Very good example, actually. I forgot about that one. Lee Veltman says, back when the Big Bang happened. I always loved that term, Big Bang. Like when I was a kid and they were teaching us about astronomy and they said Big Bang, I just cracked up. Some nun saying Big Bang, Big Bang. Catholic school was boring as shit. So something like that would make my day. Six's Design is here, says science fiction in the 1920s. The Man in the Moon was a cool British movie. Was it British? Or did somebody in Britain make the novel into a movie? Or is that something separate from the book? I thought there was the Andy Kaufman movie was called Man in the Moon, too. Okay, Sixth Design, it wasn't termed sci-fi till the 1920s, but certainly there's got to be some examples of science fiction that was written previous to the 1920s. I would think so, anyway. So before 1920, people didn't invent stories, only real stuff. Well, I'm sure there was fictional stories forever that were written down, but I don't know that people were using the term. I think Six's Design is right, that the term for science for that art form would be popularized in the 1920s and people would call it science fiction. But certainly there's got to be some science fiction stories that were written before the 1920s. They just didn't call it at the time. So I was going to look something up. Bear with me, friends. Yeah, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein was published January 1st, 1818. That predates the term science fiction by more than 100 years then. Um, but I don't think anybody would argue that Mary Shelley's Frankenstein was not science fiction. I mean, horror too, but certainly it's got to be science fiction as well. Oh, the golem from the ancient text might be an example. Yeah, I don't know that that would be considered science fiction. Maybe that would be more like a magic thriller or something. And the golem is a great story. I saw a pretty modern version of a golem story where a woman in the village lost her child, and then she created the golem, and it took the form of her child, and it was pretty creepy and good. Don't know the title offhand. Maybe somebody can look that up. Okay, Le Voyage dans de Lune, created by Georges Méliès in 1902, is often considered to be the first science fiction film. Well, that's pretty interesting. Yeah, and it was also interesting for me to see that there was a book from the 1950s or 60s, I believe, that this gentleman mentioned, that was a book titled Stargate, which had a Stargate in it. So I guess the term Stargate and the idea of Stargate certainly predates the Hollywood movie in 1994, but I'm sure that that Hollywood movie really popularized the idea of a Stargate in our modern culture now. And it's interesting that that movie tied in, of course, ancient Egypt. Yeah, so you got to weave in you have to weave in something, some parts of history in a good story, right? It's interesting to me that they do that. They do it pretty often too, I've noticed. In fact, you know, these UFO con artist grifters certainly do it. They definitely add to their story with some historical fact. We see them cite something that happened in history, and then they add their layer of bullshit to it. It seems to me to be a very common tactic. The Vimanas, for example, could they have been real flying machines or just classic human imagination? Rodrigo, there's a previous episode I did on Vimanas, and it turns out that the Vimanas that everybody cites in UFO land are from a channeled book from the 1960s, I believe, as near as I recall, and have very little to do with real ancient Vedic texts, though people always claim that they came from a Vedic text, ancient Vedic text, and they did. Those flying machines, the Vimanas, came from a channeled book from the 1960s, and people constantly say in an ancient Vedic text, and it's conflating two things. So I found that Vimanas were another one that we basically call fiction. Well-crafted fiction, and we sort of called out Ancient Aliens for being one of those people who constantly basically claims that the book that the Vimanas came from that they're showing are from ancient Vedic texts when they're definitely not. Sorry, I'm a little distracted. I lost something here. It's kind of dark. The Keymaster and Azul. I love that movie. Oh, even the old Star Trek, the script was so much better than a lot of later versions of it. Yes, wasn't there a Stargate in Ghostbusters? Absolutely. It was some sort of portal to another dimension that the Zool was going to come through, as I recall, right? Wasn't it Zool? I always remembered there is no Dana, only Zool. And Rick Moranis was great in that movie. Ghostbusters, just a classic, great movie. I'm glad they're doing like another attempt at a reboot. That Ghostbusters with the girls, I try to like it. I really did. I didn't like it. Solar Marshall. By the way, hold on for this John Lear epic tell-off video. What is it? A link? Send me the link in Facebook, and I'll share it if you want. A question to Stephen in chat: do you want disclosure, or do you enjoy the mystery as it is? No, if it's true, absolutely, I want disclosure. Absolutely, I want to hear all about it. I definitely want disclosure to happen. That would be an amazing world to live in, where we could finally have some proof of all that alien stories from years and years. And I finally found what I was looking for, folks. A lighter. Always have more than one, especially if you're in the dark here. Yeah, so I kind of I enjoy the excitement sometimes when some kind of information comes out, but then I don't enjoy the constant disappointment. Like, everybody's getting so excited about this New York Times article and claiming that it says that the government is admitting that they've recovered crashed flying saucers, and then you find out it's just one nut job, Eric Davis, that says he briefed somebody about that, but there's no actual proof of any of the shit that people, they're amplifying. They're changing what was written in the article to fit what they want, and it's just not there. Brad Gray is here. Shout out to Brad Gray. Genocide. I want disclosure if, in fact, there is anything to disclose. I agree. Absolutely. Yes, so Solar Marshall apparently has some breaking news to contribute tonight in the form of John Lear telling Carrie Cassidy to shut her mouth. And you gotta love John Lear has turned into like your like cranky old uncle now, right? And it's interesting. I haven't really been following John Lear very much, but I know that people are saying that he's going through some really tough times, and it's interesting that nobody, George Knapp and Bob Lazar aren't helping him. I guess, I really do believe that John Lear was the source and the seed of all the information from the Bob Lazar thing. Disclosure would be great, but I also enjoy the ride and the fascination of all the wild stories. Yeah, there's no end or there's no limit to the amount of wild stories. Dennis Koch. Jesus, now I know who the hell you remind me of. Adam Driver. Is that the guy from who's that? Oh yeah, that's the guy from Star Wars. Really? I just had somebody else. Oh, it was Jean-Claude. He put up like a picture of Adam Driver next to me when I was a guest on his show. Yeah. I guess there's worse people to be compared to. He was probably one of the only things I liked about those new 3 movies. It's got to be interesting to see Darth Vader's grandson, right? And his struggle with the dark side and the light side. Didn't like how they ended the whole thing. Didn't really like those last 3 Disney movies. It's basically, I watched Disney kill my favorite childhood movie series. Did anybody else think that there was like no reason to kill off the original characters in the way that they did? Was the whole thing just about money? Like, well, Harrison Ford's going to want like $60 million to do this, so we got to kill him off after 1 movie, or whatever. And boy, the Mark Hamill, the death of Luke Skywalker to me was just a ridiculous waste. And the other thing is that everybody wanted to see like these people get together again, and they didn't. And you had the actors; they all signed up to do whatever you wanted to write. So, big disappointment. Adam Driver starred in a very fascinating movie about interdimensionality called Midnight Special. A must. Oh, I didn't know that was about interdimensionality. I thought that was like him being a like some kind of a cameraman or something in the middle of the night for like crime scenes or something. I'll have to check that out. A lot of them are heavy into drugs, so even if the drugs don't kill them, the insanity of the business will. Yes, Dennis Code. Luke was no longer Luke. Yeah, because they turned like the savior of the galaxy and a character of hope and into like a cranky old bitter failed man. So didn't understand that either. I wish that they had gotten the writer and director of The Mandalorian. His name escapes me now. I'm not going to be able to find it. Oh, here we go. Yeah, what I wish have now seen The Mandalorian is Jon Favreau. I wish that they had given all three movies to Jon Favreau. The Mandalorian was good Star Wars. Every episode you felt like it was Star Wars. I don't know what the fuck they did with those three movies, but all three of those movies, I think, were. The first one wasn't a bad start, and I think they could have done fine building off of that. It just got worse from there. My wish is that they hand all of Star Wars over to Jon Favreau. He did an amazing job on this Mandalorian series, and I can't wait to see season 2, so I'll at least be able to see some decent Star Wars out of this Disney clusterfuck that it has been in the movies. And what else? I certainly liked Rogue One. I thought that was well done, and I liked. I'm one of the few people I know that liked the Han Solo movie, but I, of course, loved Han Solo growing up, so it was good to see his backstory and how he met Chewbacca and how he got the Millennium Falcon. I thought it was pretty well done. But people were so pissed off about how bad, which one was it? The second in the trilogy was that everybody was like, we're not going. and that sucks because there could have been like 3 Han Solo movies if that movie did better. Oh, yeah. Rian Johnson, Rise director, did good in Looper with all the time travel paradoxes. I love time travel movies that address the time travel paradoxes because it's just interesting to think about these things if you did time travel, like the grandfather paradox. For those that don't know, that's just it's a time travel paradox. If you go back in time and kill your grandfather, will you cease to exist? These things are interesting to think about from a philosophical standpoint. Carol Utley says, I just watched Looper. I've never seen that. I'll have to put that on my list as well. Brad Gray. Brad Gray says, oh, wait, I saw it here. I got here late. Did we find any Stargates? No, we found people claiming there's 50 Stargates in Iraq, but so far, the evidence for that is pretty few and far between, it seems. And it seems as if Michael Salla is the originator of a great deal of popularizing this story of Stargates in Iraq. So instantly to me, this whole conspiracy theory has no value if Michael Salla is one of the guys that is heavily pushing it or popularizing it, because his so-called research is a fucking joke, and his ridiculous claims are just that, ridiculous claims. He never provides proof of any of the shit that he talks about. He just strings together nonsense and fake sources. like a lot of UFO hucksters. Six Design says, yeah, Steven showed us the Stargate he has in his backyard. Six Design, shut the fuck up. The men in black are going to come and take it. There's a big discussion because the lady calling the shots on Star Wars had specific social messages to convey. People are talking about 3 movies getting removed from canon. Yeah, I've heard that they may do that, but I don't think. I mean, it's. Would I like a do-over, Rodrigo? Fuck yeah! But are they really going to get? Well, they can't get, Princess Leia now. They can't really do a do-over. They would have to just make 3 other movies and try to forget about those shit show 3 movies. I thought the last one was really, really like. I think they tried at least to do some fan service in that, like finally giving Chewbacca his medal and bringing back Lando Calrissian, and then to bring back the Emperor. To bring back the Emperor makes Return of the Jedi absolutely meaningless. And yeah, but then I try to keep things in perspective though, because I'm such a huge Star Wars fan, and then I realized like it's a movie for children about space wizards, right? So I can't get this upset over science fiction movies. I can't get this upset about movies that were essentially about space wizards and space battles, you know? But people were pissed at those movies, and a lot of Star Wars fans want them to remove them from canon. But I don't even know, how would they do that? Would they just say that was like a dream, like, and bring back one of the characters from the movie so that they could somehow bridge the gap? I don't know how they would do that. Sixth Design, if someone actually had a real Stargate, how many wouldn't notice? I mean, where are you going to hide it? How are you going to hide the huge magnetic field from detection? Yeah, I guess it would make gravity waves or some other detectable radiation or something, right? It couldn't just, I don't know how a Stargate works, but it may be radiation. It may be, I don't know, for all we know, the Large Hadron Collider is a Stargate. How do we know it's not, right? They got this huge complex buried underground. We don't know what they're doing with that thing. Yes, the story of giants in Iraq I heard come from L.A. Marzulli. Don't know if you're aware of the gentleman. Yes, sort of Christian mystery investigator. He kind of goes from a Christian perspective, but I like him actually. I've listened to a bunch of his shows on those Peruvian skulls and a few other subjects, the Anunnaki that he was covering. And to his credit, he sort of got involved with Jaime Maussan with the fake fairies and shit, and eventually kind of went, yeah, this is bullshit. And at least to his credit, he didn't double down when it was revealed that he was like helping Jaime Maussan push a hoax, because every story that Jaime Maussan pushes heavily turns out to be a hoax. He was involved in the Roswell slides. He was involved in this fake alien that turned out to be a marmoset monkey skeleton. Yes, Ian McGregor's Obi-Wan Kenobi series might be interesting. I think so. And that's going to center around his years on Tatooine, waiting and sort of watching over Luke, I believe. So that's interesting to me. And I will certainly want to watch that. Don't know how good it'll be. I'll watch it. But pretty much anything Star Wars, I'll watch. I missed a lot of like the Clone Wars and some of the other cartoons. So I still have those to go through largely. Dennis Coach, doesn't everyone make a mistake at least once? Dolan with that mummy, for example. Yeah, everybody. I'll give everybody one, but if they double down like Dolan has, now Dolan's on to Bob Lazar is real. Let's see, remote viewing is real, and the Wilson documents are real. Ufology would be so much better if trillion hoaxers stopped pushing BS. That ain't going to happen, though. No. All right, Solar Marshall with some breaking information to share about John Lear telling Kerry Cassidy to shut up or shut her mouth, was it? I don't know. Send me the link. Otherwise, we're going to wrap things up here soon, Solar Marshal. So we can share it. We can talk about it. Lee Veltman, LA, and then Nephilim always rubs me the wrong way. Well, I think those not the Peruvian mummies, I think those elongated skulls are sure interesting because some of them look like that's not cranial deformation. And it looks like some of them don't have the same sutures as a regular human. And there's really some fascinating, like somebody did some graphics of what those people look like in real life. It's pretty interesting. We'll probably do a show on those. The only stuff I found interesting from Musan were the mothership releasing spheres footage of UFOs. That had me scratching my head, to be honest. Yeah, I don't think that I saw that. Oh, I'm sure that I have along the way somewhere, but yeah, Sixth Design. Thank you for sharing. Be sure to help Truth Seeker Stephen Cambian out on Patreon. Yeah, if you guys want to see more of this more of this subject matter, if you could, I would highly appreciate you supporting me on Patreon. In fact, as soon as I'm finished with tonight's broadcast, I'm going to make the Patreon benefits for this month, which are a behind-the-scenes audio journal. I'm going to share some information about the book that CalCorp just published and sort of put me as a co-author, even though I have very little to do with it. And there will be a new Mind Hack demo this month. And I was really hoping to finish the alpha release of Altos. For those that don't know, I have my own sort of Linux distribution, and it's called Altos, ALTOS, or AltOS, the alternative operating system. The new alpha is going to have 70 gigs of software included with it. It's a huge download, and some people are complaining about that, but honestly, this is the way that I prefer to make it. If you don't, because people are like, why don't you just make it smaller and then have add-ons if people want things? And that's good, but for me, it's easier to maintain the system as just one big, huge software. It's not disorganized or anything. It's very organized, how to access each of the softwares included, but I like it big. I like it expansive so that it can have any application that any user might need to get some work done or do something. There's tons of video editors. There's tons of graphic editors. Oh yeah, out of mind. Also sending a prayer to Vanessa today. Yeah, if everybody could sort of have a moment of silence and send her some good positive thoughts or a prayer or a meditation or a dedication, whatever it is you're into. Vanessa Thor is being evacuated due to the wildfires. And I saw a post earlier that she's had to sort of put her pig up she's got a pet pig. Interesting girl. So, I just got to say, like, I really hope the best for her. I hope that she's safe and warm wherever she is and her family is okay. And I hope that the situation resolves itself soon and positively for her. That's got to be terrible. Like, I wouldn't even know what to take with me, because the fire could really endanger your home if they're evacuating you. Skeptico channel is really good. I've seen that. Goddess of Thunder. Yeah, everybody pray to the Goddess of Thunder. She needs rain. Stranger Things had some hilarious featurettes, including starring Musan. I didn't know. Listen, I tried to start Stranger Things. I got about 20 minutes into it, and I don't know. I just fell asleep or something. And then the next time I tried to do it, I fell asleep again a little further in. I couldn't even get through the first episode. So I was kind of like, and I know that series starts slow and it's supposed to get really, really good later. I'm going to try again, I guess. Yes, Carol Utley. Sending prayers for Vanessa. I guess we're all going to try to send some prayers for Vanessa. Dennis Coach does the same thing. Prayers for Vanessa. Yeah, I really wish her the best. I hope everything works out for her. I know she's not here tonight, which may mean she's still in the middle of moving things or attending to her family and things. We wish you the best, Vanessa. I hope everything works out. And also, I think it was her birthday. So happy birthday. Either today or yesterday was her birthday. So happy birthday, Vanessa. Boy, that's not something you want for your birthday to get evacuated. After last summer fires here in Oz is anything to go by, I hope Vanessa will be fine. Yeah, let's hope so, friends. Let's all think of her for a moment and send some positive thoughts and prayers. Hopefully she'll be okay. Dennis Coach, I got 5 episodes in Stranger Things and haven't got back to it yet. Yeah, I think my wife started watching it and she told me I would love it, but I didn't. Yeah, she told me I would like it, but I haven't gotten to it myself. Depth of the Forestry was so much better 20 years ago. You guys should check those featurettes on YouTube. I think you'll like it. I didn't even know Jaime Maussan was in Stranger Things, but it kind of makes sense. It's called Stranger Things, and he does stories on strange things. Agreed. Forest management sucks in the West. I'm not sure if that's the issue, or a lot of people say it's because of global warming, or climate change. There's a lot less rain, so maybe the forests are much drier, and that can certainly create more forest fires, right? I always hate it. Once in a while near the cabin, they put out like a advisory that you're not supposed to have a campfire, and I'm always kind of like, listen, I got a hose right next to my cabin, and I go to the cabin to have campfires. So, but sometimes they put out these no burn notices or warnings. Dennis Coach, do you mind if I ask how much brush you are going to cut back from your new home? Not much more. I have a few trees that are really, really in the way, and those got to go. And yeah, I like it woodsy there, so I want to take out as little as possible. I'm gonna trim some of the trees right around that greenhouse, though. Like, I'm gonna take some of the branches off the trees so that we get more sun in the sunroom eventually. But those trees around it are probably going to stay there. I just want to thin them out. You can, Solar Marshall, I have it. How do I send it? You could send it to me on YouTube, or I'm sorry, you could put the link right in the chat and I could go over to YouTube chat and get it, or you can send it to me on Facebook and I will share it. And do you have a timestamp, or is it like the whole video that you're sending me is what you want me to share? Yeah, you can send it to me. Go ahead. Just send it to me right in Facebook Messenger. I have to send it to your Facebook. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Solar Marshall, send it to me on Facebook. Oh, and also, just a bit of business to get out of the way. I wanted to mention that we had this Melissa Dawn on here, and I don't know, somehow at the end of that show, it somehow got into politics. And I don't want to cover politics. I don't want to get involved in the middle of a fight or a disagreement between a guest and members of the live chat who disagree with that guest's political opinions. I don't want to get into Trump versus Biden. I just don't want to do politics. So, for future reference, we're not going to do politics here. Everyone should feel welcome. And I think that when people start arguing politics, things get divisive and then people feel unwelcome. Does that make sense? Everyone's welcome here, regardless of your political beliefs or affiliations or whoever you support or don't support or think is a criminal. I personally think that all politicians are criminals, and that's how I approach politics. And I go by the number one rule of my life, which is I don't believe anything that the United States government tells me. Uh, and I kind of look at the whole, especially national elections, as a circus. And it's not my circus, but I will watch it occasionally. But I will not participate in that circus. Uh, so that's where I'm at with politics. Dennis Coach, don't do politics. Trust me on that one. Yeah, I absolutely agree. Yeah, no politics. Yeah, and I think that the disagreement stemmed from this guest asserting that Antifa was a very dangerous cult-like mentality or something like that. And somebody that's very supportive of Antifa took issue with that, and then you know, uh, like I don't want to take sides either way, but I think the issue was over who was causing the riots. Was it Antifa or was it white supremacists who want to create chaos and blame it on Antifa and BLM? And like honestly, I don't want to get into it. I abhor and do not condone violence in almost every case. I think the rioting and the lootings is ridiculous. I don't really think it serves a purpose other than to create chaos and destroy things. And I just don't want to take sides of whoever is creating the riots and the chaos is the bad actor. And I don't think arguing over who that is very productive. And we just don't. This is not a show about politics. I'm not Rush Limbaugh here, so I ask people to just leave that stuff at the door. Charles Unleashed. Kerry disabled the comment on the Lear freakout. Oh, good. You clipped it. Dan clipped it. So I'm trying to play it now, though. Okay, so it's a still. All right, we're gonna play this John Lear freakout, courtesy of Dan Bankert, because let's listen to what John Lear has to say to Crazy Carrie Cassidy. Got to say, I'm not a fan of Carrie Cassidy. I'm not really a fan of John Lear either. After all, the guy talks about fighting monsters in Vietnam and thousands of people living on the moon. And is it Saturn or maybe it's Uranus? I don't know. He talks about some crazy shit too. So let's see if we can't share this. Again, I'm going to cite fair use. We're educating the public about, I guess, John Lear telling Crazy Carrie Cassidy to shut up. Let me do this one more time. 1 second. Make sure I share the audio. Okay, here we are, friends. So this is a clip contributed to our show by Solar Marshall. I suppose it's from the Carrie Cassidy Project Camelot show. So we're going to cite fair use. Fair use. We are educating the public about, I guess, John Lear telling her to shut up or something. I have not seen this myself, so this should be good, friends. Let's take a listen. And I think we have just a still of John Lear and then the audio.
We have cities on the moon and Mars. We have underground bases there. We have all kinds of secret space equipment there. And I've got so many witnesses to this, that is kind of over the top. Now, if you want to change your story about that and you want to say we're not there, then, that's your business and that's okay. but if that's the case, then we probably should move on. But they're actually, they don't have all this space equipment and secret space program
Carrie,
to not go into space. They're
Okay, so I guess the argument is over that John Lear used to say that there was thousands of people living on the moon and stuff, and maybe he's changed his thoughts and views on that. And Kerry Cassidy's not having it.
there's no reason to have a secret space program if you don't go in space.
Carrie,
Yeah,
this is you with me. I want you to shut your mouth while I talk.
I'm talking
Okay.
right now, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
talking. Yeah, I'm not going to shut my mouth while I'm talking, because that would mean
No.
I'm not talking.
No.
I'm asking you. I'm asking you a different question. If
We
you,
had
if you
some-
want to argue and go back on stuff you've said in the past,
That's fine. But the fact is, at this time, at this point, I don't believe we've been to the moon, and I don't believe we've been to Mars.
all right, fair enough.
And-
That's fine. So what is this? What?
Oh boy. So now he said that there was thousands. I'm sure that I've heard him say that thousands of people live on the moon at one point. And now he's saying he doesn't believe we've ever been to the moon or Mars. Interesting. And it's always funny to me. I can't even stand to listen to Kerry Cassidy interview people because she always makes the interview about herself. Like, she starts talking about her psychic powers and shit. And I zone out. I can't listen to that. She's just too crazy woo garbage. But interesting to see her going back and forth with John Lear. There's a really funny video. We should have a watch party one night of her like arguing with Stephen Greer about, I believe it was she was arguing with him because he says that all ETs are benevolent, which I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I actually agree with Kerry Cassidy. That's such a stupid statement. How do you know that all ETs are benevolent? And so Kerry Cassidy was really forcefully and aggressively arguing with Stephen Greer in this one video where they interview him, and it is funny as shit because Stephen Greer starts getting a little hot under the collar and pissed off too. It's a great video. We should do a watch party on that. Actually, thanks for reminding me of that, Solar Marshall. Okay. John thanked me for recording this. I put it on his YouTube page. He don't talk to her anymore. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I would love to see her flag the video so Stephen would get the YouTube email saying it was her. No, let her try. We cited fair use. That's fair use. We're allowed to do that. She's a public figure, and that's one of her interviews, and it's of interest to my listeners and the community here. Possibly, so she has no right to stop me from that. It's interesting when people copyright or privacy strike you. It's usually, especially if you're skeptical of their views or opinions. Isn't it funny that if somebody makes a video like saying that one of these UFO hucksters is real and uses portions of their videos, they don't copyright strike them. But if somebody is a little more skeptical like me and sort of goes after them and their claims, you get a copyright strike if you use their material for educational purpose. And that says a lot about these people making all these ridiculous claims. What? Did Kerry Cassidy get thrown off of YouTube? I didn't know that. I know she got demonetized, but did she get thrown off of YouTube? Let's take a look. I know she's been having that pandemic doctor on, even after being warned and stuff not to do that, sort of, and it's against the terms of service. But I don't know that they actually struck her channel down now. So it's still there. Yeah, she's still there. Man. I think we're going to have to go woo, friends. 281,000 subscribers. But, For having that huge of a sub base, her numbers are really not in line with that. Yeah, I don't know what to make of any of the numbers. But by the way, I guess we should celebrate because we hit another milestone here with our channel. And today we hit 600 subscribers. So thank you. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share this video. We'd really benefit from a larger audience. Rodrigo, Carrie makes stuff up to bump her channel. Yeah. Kevin Moore has put a hurting on her. Yeah, I think that's where I first heard the term Crazy Carrie Cassidy, and I have to agree with him on that. Oh, there's Paranormal Hood. Is that Smoke King? Welcome, Smoke King. Or Jiggy, I'm not sure. I'm always confused of which one to use. I think that's Smoke King. Yes, PBR Street Gang. She was pissed because YouTube demonetized her videos. Yeah, well, that's where she was making her money. So I guess I would be pissed too. But, you know, what she kept doing was a clear violation of the terms of service. If you were so concerned with keeping your money, you would have played nice with YouTube and the YouTube algorithm AI gods. By the way, praise the AI gods. Praise the YouTube algorithm. All praise. And by the way, praise the cash. Please let somebody send me some money. There's PayPal donate links and Patreon links in the About section. Yeah, absolutely. If you want, me and Shrat will do this show one night. Yeah, tell him that he sent me his book, and that was the best book on UFOs that I've read in 10 years. I really highly recommend Michael Schratt's latest book on UFOs because it covers little known UFO cases, some of which I never even heard of, and I've heard of most. So it was a very well researched book, well put together, and he gives these beautiful and amazing illustrations of UFOs that people have seen. It's a great book. Whatever happened to that Secure Team 10 guy? I know he got arrested for DUI and then sort of claimed that the men in black framed them, which is bullshit because people got the dash cam. People got the dash cam videos of him getting pulled over for DUI. And I was going to cover that, but then I thought, you don't want to kick a guy when he's down. I just hope that he gets the help that he needs for his alcohol or drug related problems. I totally don't. Not a fan. He's been caught hoaxing stuff over and over and over again. And see, this is what pisses me off. Like, we work really hard at investigating these strange subjects and trying to get to the actual truth of some of them. And other people basically just make up shit. And if you look at the channels and the numbers of the people who are just out there making up shit, they are vastly, vastly larger numbers than someone like me gets. And I guess that says something about the world. People want fantasy. They don't want reality. I'm still fascinated by these subjects, though, and I think some of them are worth investigating. But when you just straight making shit up, and then the universe rewards you in the form of money or, you know, a large fan base, it kind of makes me sad. So yeah, Solar Marshall, let's schedule a time. Let's get with Michael Schratt. I've always thought Michael Schratt's research was excellent. I love all of his black budget project stuff, and I love all of his you know, illustration work that he does and stuff like that. Great researcher, great guy. I'd love to pick his brain about a lot of different cases. And yeah, Rodrigo says Schratt says he has so much material, and most people hardly will ever get to see everything. Yeah, so maybe we can help him share some of it here. I, for one, I got blurry. There we go. I, for one, would be happy to sort of share anything that he wanted to talk about or share or promote, especially this new book. I got to tell you, friends, this new book is amazing. I thought it was the best book about UFOs that I've seen in 10 years. And you know what? It came to me at a time where I'm just burnt out of all these UFO stories, and then I get a good book like from him, and it sort of reignited my interest a bit. Yes, that's coach fan bases are fickle. Yeah, they really are. They really are. Yeah, so Marshall, let's work it out. Absolutely. He's going to talk to Michael Schratt right now. Yeah, I would love to do that. Let's do it. Let's book it. As far as upcoming shows, honestly, I have no idea. I've got like 4 or 5 solo shows that I'm going to do. And then I've just started. I really have to make a point of getting better at this. I've started reaching out to some potential guests that I think would be great for our show, but I haven't heard back from many. So we'll see where we take this thing going forward. If anyone has any suggestions for shows, I'm all ears. You guys know you can always, there's an email in the About section. It's truthseekershow@gmail.com. Truthseekershow@gmail.com. So if you have a show suggestion, like tonight's show was basically suggested by a viewer who wanted to see what my thoughts were on this particular story. Yeah, we aim to please here. And I'm down for most of the any good story I'm down to cover. So and we certainly want to do the fan service. What you guys want to see, I want to give it to you. And a lot of people have been asking me to get back into covering certain people, like Corey Good and others, and I'm not sure what we're going to do about that. I sort of checked back in, and then I was sort of reminded of why I checked out on that guy and others like him for the most part. I just don't see any value in me spending time listening to that guy talk, because there's just no value in anything that he talks about. So, covering him is simply like, let's listen to him talk. Let's say why this is bullshit. Let's listen to him talk. Let's say why this is bullshit. And it's just, to me, it's not very compelling or very interesting, though some people really want me to cover him. And if people really want me to continue our past coverage, I don't know. I think we did one show once in a while about that guy and how ridiculous his bullshit stories are. Mika Hanks would be good if you're into taking topics with a grain of salt. Oh, and Six Design posts an excellent Black programs, Michael Schratt on the UFO Chronicles. Yeah, I believe I've seen that one. PBR Street Gang, deeper dive on Dolan would be interesting. Yeah, I got a part 2, but I got to listen to like 8 more hours of Richard Dolan trying to pump up these Wilson documents with his bullshittery. And sort of unpack and debunk a lot of the bullshit stories that he's telling in order to do that part 2. It's been on my list of things to do. I promise that we'll get back to that, and hopefully sooner rather than later. Cattle mutilations might be interesting. It's on my list already, and I have a pretty good deal of research on that. Good Wilcox only needs coverage when the court dates happen, in my opinion. Yeah, I think that the judge is going to rule on those motions to dismiss in October. I think October 18th, from what I recall. Hopefully, the judge will educate herself on the bullshit factory that is Corey Good and know that these lawsuits are frivolous. And it's just some asshole out there on the internet telling fake stories that's pissed off because people are going on the internet and saying, excuse me, your stories are fake. He thinks that he should be allowed to just spew bullshit stories and nobody's allowed to critique his bullshit stories. That's what most of these lawsuits are about. Well, that and him fighting over money with his former manager and writer, right? And it is what it is, friends. What about Quantum Fighter Corbell? Don't get me started. Not a fan. I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm trying to just leave sleeping dogs sleep. Does that make sense? Most people know how I feel about that guy. Corbell and alien scientist would be a good debate to referee. He'll never agree to it because he can't withstand debate or argument. He blocks and deletes anyone from his social media that chimes in and says, "Excuse me, your facts are not facts," or whatever. Anybody that's critical of him gets instantly banned from his existence. He's not going to debate somebody like Alien Scientist or Solar Marshall or me because he can't, because he's an intellectual weakling. And there I go again. Let's just leave sleeping dogs sleep. Or is it let sleeping dogs lie, I think is the saying. Dolan does the same thing. Agreed, Charles. I hope he loses his last one soon. Yeah, Jeremy seems to be losing his marbles these days. He wants to believe too much. Yeah. Like I said, not a fan. Let's just leave it at that. A lot of hoaxers lie constantly. It would take all week on a constant stream to cover just one day of their many lies. Yeah, that's the problem that I have. Solar Marshall, he watches me just so he sees what the newest debunks on Lazar are. Yeah, you gotta, you gotta do research on your competition. Solar Marshall, Steve, do you do shows on the weekends? I'm at the cabin on the weekends, and I'm trying to, and for some reason we're failing miserably. The streams work from the cabin, but they look like shit, and I don't know why. And I'm going to work on that this weekend. And I refuse to have another show from the cabin that looks shitty, no matter if I have to cart the same webcam from here, the same lighting, the same backdrop, whatever I got to do. I just don't like it when you put the time and effort and energy into a show and then it looks like amateur hour garbage. Like it looked like 144p the last two shows. And I don't know why that is, because on my end, it looks fine. I can see myself on the screen. It looks high def. Then the stream goes up and it is fucking horrible. So, but these are the things that happen with a live show. I always say got to roll with the punches, but those punches are getting hard to take. When you put time and energy and effort and dedication into doing a good show, and the content is good, but it looks horrible. Like somebody put a post on one of the videos, somebody commented at something, and I don't think they meant it to be nasty, and it was a valid criticism. Somebody said something like, "Oh my God, is your camera a potato?" It looked terrible. So we have to work on that. If I can get it working good and looking decent from the cabin, sure, we're going to continue to do shows from the cabin. Paranormal Hit Jiggy is here, and he says CPT, and he had to educate me. I wasn't sure what that was. That, friends, is colored people time. And Jiggy, of course, is allowed to use that term. I think it would be disrespectful if I used that term for myself. But yeah, Jiggy's on CPT, colored people time. So he's way late. He's way late to the party. And friends, I just noticed that we're coming up on an hour and 45 minutes. So I think we're gonna call this one a video. We're gonna play our outro, and I got another bunch of work to do for you guys tonight in order to get the Patreon benefits to you by the end of the month. I'm going to do my very best to do that. Again, we're going to have a new Mind Hack demo and an audio journal about this month. Behind the scenes, you get that for the Patreon buck. Paranormal Jiggy, you're supposed to start at 10. Yeah, I know, but I've been starting later than that, or earlier than that if I can, so that I can do some other work before the night ends for me. And then nighttime is the best time for me to get any work done because generally my kids won't be screaming and running around and banging shit and breaking shit. And boy, today was a rough one. Just one of those rough ones. So, friends, we may return to the subject of Stargates in the near future. I've got a bunch more material that I think might be interesting to look into. I'm not sure what, what evidence can actually be found, but I'm going to try. I'm at least going to try to find some of the evidence. So, friends, until next time. Well, first, I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us and remind you to please, there's two ways to support me, either financially through Patreon or PayPal, or like, comment, subscribe, share, and send this video to some friends that you know may be interested in these strange subjects. That would help us tremendously here and cost you nothing. That's a great way to support our show here. I want to thank you all for joining us. Thank you all for helping us to spread the show. It means a lot to me that I can see you guys retweeting and resending stuff and sharing this video on your social media or, each show. Some of you guys do it every time I post a show. You share it. I really do appreciate it. And it definitely helps. So until next time, friends, my name is Stephen Cambion. Good night, and God bless all of you.
Truth Seekers is a viewer-supported show. Wonderful people like you who enjoy this show send pledges in the form of super chats, super stickers, super thanks, PayPal or Cash App. Instructions for how to help are in the description. You can also join our Patreon, and for as little as $1 a month you can get extra content. Patreon supporters get a backstage pass, early access to all our production videos before they are distributed publicly, Stephen Campion's music, private writings, a monthly show journal, and more. You can also become a YouTube channel member for $5 a month. A YouTube membership includes all of the Patreon benefits, plus a special members badge, priority reply to video comments, and the live chat, plus a monthly members-only video. We thank you all, kind and generous benefactors, for supporting Truth Seekers. Thank you for your generosity and support. Truth Seekers is a viewer-supported show. Now there's a great way to support these broadcasts and show your support. Please be sure and check out our merchandise store. Links to our 2 merchandise online stores are in the links to this video or podcast. The Amazon storefront ships super quickly in the United States, Great Britain, and in many more places. Amazon may not ship to your country or location. If that's the case, hit our second merchandise link in the description and visit our Redbubble storefront. Merchandise from our Redbubble storefront ships worldwide, but may take longer than Amazon. We've got a great deal of super high quality merchandise for you to choose from, including t-shirts, phone cases, sweatshirts, and even pillows. The feedback from our products have been overwhelmingly great. Quality products and fast shipping. People all over the world are buying some merchandise and showing their support of the show. Praise the cash! Praise the cash! Praise the cash! We thank you all, kind and generous benefactors, who are buying some merchandise and helping us to continue this journey. Thanks for being here. This is Truth Seekers with your host, Stephen Campion. Please rate, like and comment on our videos or podcasts. If you are listening to an audio podcast, please rate us 5 stars to help us rise in the search rankings. If you are watching on YouTube, please like, comment and subscribe to our channel. If you're listening to an audio podcast, we love and appreciate you listeners, but you are missing the live tapings. All our shows are recorded live with video feed. We'd love you to come be a part of our live broadcasts and tapings for the podcast. Head on over to YouTube, click the search tool, the little magnifying glass, put Truth Seekers, one word in the search bar, and hit enter. You'll see a strange and mysterious guy with sunglasses. That means you found the channel. Go there, smash the subscribe button and hit the notification bell to receive up-to-date info on our YouTube channel. We welcome you to be a part of our live taping and our chat group during the live broadcasts. Seek the truth. Speak the truth. This is Truth Seekers. Truth Seekers. Truth Seekers.